So the expansion draft is done, the entry draft is done, and now NHL free agency is a mere few days away. And in terms of a Maple Leafs perspective, all reports indicate that Zach Hyman is about to sign a big deal with the Edmonton Oilers in the 7-year range of about $5.5 million per year. I got a little bit of a hot take though here, gentlemen. And the hot take, and I'm wrong so often that I probably am wrong this time, but my hot take is that Zach Hyman is actually not going to sign with Edmonton. And the reason being for this is because if you listen to Kyle Dubas's last press conference, he was asked about it, and Kyle referred to Todd that he hadn't heard from Todd yet about anything. And Todd is Todd Reynolds, I believe his last name is, of Zach Hyman's agent. Don't you think if Hyman was like indeed signing with another team, wouldn't the agent tell the team, hey, heads up, like we're signing this deal? But Dubas said that he hadn't actually heard that, and he said to the media, all I'm hearing is what you guys are saying, and if that's the case, then we wish Zach the best, in not so many words. Now, we do see instances where the agent of a player will leak out certain things because they want the other team to come up a little bit. So I'm wondering if Zach is kind of waiting to see if the Leafs bite and go up a little bit. This way he's able to say, I took much less. The Leafs came up a little bit more. And you know what? This is where I wanted to be. It's where my heart's at. So I don't know, guys. What do you think? Do you think that's actually a possibility as we head into free agency here for the Leafs? Or I'm just totally losing it?
I think anything's possible. I think, everything's a lot of it's revolving around this 8th year. That 8th year is the real sticking point here. And don't you find it odd that, not even Leafs enter the draft with 3 picks. Dubas is notorious for drafting back. He didn't do it with the 2nd pick. So you would have thought when the Oilers acquired a 3rd round pick in the draft, that might have been a kind of a step in that might be the compensation going back. There was no compensation going back. And then you think to yourself, shoot, anything's better than nothing. Okay, you probably, Harman he's going to walk and you're not going to get the, the right compensation for it, but even just a pick. So not even a pick in that draft was provided as compensation. They couldn't even, the reports were that Edmonton offered a 6th, Toronto wanted a 2nd, and that's it. It was done. Which, okay, but
I wouldn't take a 6th either. I would say
no, I get it, but
with
why not settle
being
on
what it's worth right
4?
now? I wouldn't have taken a 6. Maybe if they come up and offer a 3, yeah, I'd probably take that. Yeah.
Right. So I still think there's a little glaring 5% chance that Toronto comes back with an 8-year, $4.8 million something or other. So,
which I think is not a good contract.
No,
I don't think they should.
Don't get me
but
wrong.
It might happen because they love him. We love him, but
yes.
That number is just not smart.
Remember,
business.
We love him at 2.5, not 4.8.
Yes.
But just to answer your question, I think it's got a 10% chance. I'd say if we're going to do the level of percentages, I'd say a 10% chance.
Okay, I got you. Okay, so
but
let's
I still think he's going to Edmonton.
Let's say that perhaps he does go to Edmonton, like all the reports say. Is there somebody in free agency, a free agent, or even a player that possibly wasn't tendered a qualifying offer today that is now available that if you were the Leafs, you'd say, yeah, that's the type of player we need? Anybody got your eye on? I know there's reports that they're talking to Foligno still. I don't know how I feel about that, especially it all depends on the dollar amount. I mean, less than $2 million, I would consider it. Anything more than that, I would not.
It depends. Okay, so let's just knock one off here. So let's just get Foligno out of the way, because if people want Nick Foligno, it's purely because the trade didn't end up the way it was supposed
to. That's right.
Yep. That's what it is. If you separate that from the dollar value that he's going to command and what he's going to bring in, he's not going to score. Nick Foligno's not a scorer anymore. He is a bottom 6 guy. Had a little bit of chemistry with Matthews and Marner for a little bit, but he's not playing on that first line. He's going to give you some penalty kills, give him some leadership. 2.5, if that's the number being thrown around, I'm right on that. I don't know. Again, what is that? What you're paying for leadership? Again, you could probably get that in the $1 million range. I'm still on the fence with that one. I still think he ends up in Minnesota with his brother. I think there's just all reports that that just makes the most sense for him. With regards to names that have just been out today, because the RFA deadline was today, there's one name that intrigues me. Actually, sorry, I'll say two, but one is Nick Ritchie from Boston. I was really surprised he was not tendered an offer. And if you guys why Nick Ritchie is such a popular name, he was the name that Don Cherry went off on a tangent about that the Leafs should have drafted over William Nylander, and he's now will be on his third team and Willie's still on this first team. But a big kid, Ontario boy, playing OHL, 6 foot, 6'3", 2 and change. I like reclamation projects. I like guys who can and listen. Say what you want about the Leafs, but they have really carved up a really good development system. Guys they brought into the organization to obviously develop their younger talent, and I think he'd be a nice piece, like they did with Galchenyuk. The other name I'm going to throw out there, just because I think he suits the style of play that the kind of the upbeat style is. I know I'm going to butcher Athanasiou, Andreas Athanasiou, and I have a bit of a soft spot because he's a Toronto Titan, and he was one of the first kids to be drafted from our organization in the NHL. But this kid is lightning fast, and if anybody can kind of put the hands and the feet together, I'd like to see him work with some of the Leaf skill guys. But those are two names I'll throw at you from the RFA standpoint. Coming up on Wednesday, Joe, I don't think there's a lot of guys out there I would really throw money from free agency. I really don't. I think they have to go the trade route. If they're going to grab a guy via free agency, it's probably going to be a goalie and maybe a seventh defenseman. But I don't know. I just don't think if there's any. I don't know.
I think guys are going to come for cheap again because there's a lot of teams that are capped out, and guys are going to be looking for 1 year cheap money deals to like a show me contract to try to strike it bigger next year. You mentioned Athanasiou with the speed. I think they should try to acquire more speed. I thought that was one thing last year that they lacked a little bit of. They tried to go the grit leadership route, which was good. They needed it, but they sacrificed too much speed. They were slow on their bottom two lines, I felt like, especially with Thornton there and Simmons, and Spezza can't fly like he used to. So adding some speed, I think, would be good for them. Ritchie, I don't know enough about him. I'm going to be honest. I haven't seen him play enough. If he's just big and can hit, can he skate? If he can skate, then that's interesting.
Yeah, that's the one.
That's interesting. Like, I don't want a big lumbering slow guy because I think you got to be able to skate and bring grit. I think they need both of those things.
Yep.
Bobby, what are you thinking? You're awfully quiet over there. From a non-Leaf perspective, is there a guy that you think they should target?
I'm just taking this all in. I've watched Nick Ritchie in Boston. I thought he did some good stuff there. I think he'd be a nice little fit.
Okay.
Nick Foligno, we don't even know if his wife is up here yet. Because I remember when he came here, he just left the family down in Columbus, I believe.
Yep.
So for him coming back, I don't really see very much of it. But I want to touch on the point that you made, Joe, and the power of the Toronto media. Like, there's things get out when people want them to get out. And there's a lot of times where agents will leak stuff to media members to get it out there because they want that narrative out there. And to go back to your Hyman point, I wouldn't be sold as a Leaf fan to be like, he's gone. Because I think there's more than a 10% chance. I'm going like 50% that he's back in a Leaf uniform. I don't think he wants to come. I don't think he wants to leave.
That is a high percentage.
I think
50,
I think it's a lot closer than we think. And like you said, the agent, I think, would reach back to Kyle and be like, listen, this is what they're offering. Do you want to match? Or even use the Leafs then as leverage against Edmonton.
Yeah.
So I think you have two kind of big Canadian markets there that kind of have big media presence where we've only heard one story of he's going to Edmonton. And I don't necessarily buy it because the agent would be playing the two sides against each other. And it doesn't sound like he's doing that at the moment.
Bobby, I got to ask you about an RFA because, it's funny. There's no real big Leaf RFAs this offseason. So you don't really hear a word about offer sheets being presented or any of that. Funny how that works. But there's a big RFA in Vancouver named Elias Pettersson. And do you think there's a chance that a team possibly tries to offer him a contract. Montreal did it last year. I could see them doing it again. So, and if so, can the Canucks even match it? Because I know they made a big deal over the weekend, but they didn't really get a ton of cap space from that deal.
They didn't know, but they've got a lot more cap space than people realize. They have $15 million right now. Now people are saying, well, they've got to lot that between two guys, Elias and Quinn Hughes.
Mm-hmm.
But back to the RFA point, what a lot of RFAs here will do is they'll leak stuff to the Toronto media. They use that Toronto power. That's why you hear about all
Marner
the RFA.
did it. We know Marner did it for a fact, and he used Darren Dreger as his mouthpiece.
Right.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go.
No, I was just reiterating what you were saying. That's exactly what happens.
That's why we don't hear a Columbus RFA, because Columbus is 7th page news in their sports section.
Who's gonna even get the word out?
Yeah. Right. So, first of all, I want to say this. When I heard this, I shouldn't love it, but I loved it. I think the NHL needs more of this.
Of course it does, but
it's tremendous. Of course. As a Canucks fan, you're sitting there going, you're freaking out. You're like, oh my God, we're gonna lose Elias. First of all, that's pretty good compensation. 2 1s, a 2, and a 3. Now Elias is really great. The only problem is he's been in the league 3 years. He's been hurt all 3 years. And the last time I checked, guys don't get more healthy as they get older. So it's the one kind of red flag about the kid that I'm really worried about. Now, would I like to see Vancouver sign him? Yeah, of course. But knowing that it's Montreal and knowing that it's Mark Bergevin, and he's kind of a little bit outside of the box, and we'll talk about him later with his draft picks this year. But he's a little bit outside of the box, and we saw him last year with Aho and Carolina. So I wouldn't be surprised if he made an RFA offer to Peterson. I think it would have been 100% had he lost Carey Price or Shea Weber in the expansion draft, because they really lost a rookie, so they didn't really free up that 10. I believe Carey Price is $10 million. Then they would have just kind of transferred that over to Elias. But I don't think it's going to happen now, and I also don't think it'd be a smart move for Montreal, because one thing we know about these offer sheets is you kind of piss off the other team. And I don't know if you guys have noticed, but Vancouver and Montreal do a lot of business together. They make a lot of trades, a lot of waiver signings. You do this, you kind of piss off a GM on the other side of another trading partner. Now you've pissed off 2 guys, and those 2 guys will have friends. So I think it would have been a little bit of an FU move. I don't think it's going to happen anymore, but I actually would kind of like to see it, just because the NHL needs more of this. They need more player movement.
And that was a good segue, because did you not see all the trades that happened the day of the draft? That's the type of stuff that, we as fans were hoping for, because that had that NBA draft feel to it, where there's so much, all these players movement and draft picks and firsts, and you're saying, oh my God, look at what people were paying. The prices were ridiculous. I was hoping Dubas was going to flip Riley, with some of the prices they were paying. So you're right, that from an entertainment standpoint, definitely need more of that. 100%. That's a good point. So with that being said, I know we've done this before, but I'm curious. So Wednesday, as we're filming this on a Monday, so Wednesday is day 1 of free agency, and we have some big names out there, not just free agents, but big names that'll move. Let's play. Let's look into the crystal ball and let's give it a shot. I'll throw a name out. Let's see where they end up. Cool. All right, we'll throw it out there. Let's start with the obvious. Let's go with Zach Hyman. Top of your head.
I'm gonna go with Leafs. No, I think it's a better chance that he ends up with. In all seriousness, I think there's a better chance that he ends up at Edmonton, because I don't think the Leafs want to offer him the deal that Edmonton is offering. So I'm gonna go with Edmonton, but I still think there's a little possibility that he does end up in TL. Bobby.
So you got your bases covered. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, Bobby.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Toronto. I think Zach's a smart guy. There's more endorsements in Toronto. He's got a bigger market. His family's here. He's making children's books, so it seems like he might supplement some income off the ice. And I think that Kyle Dubas, what we know is he doesn't like to lose guys. And this guy is a much part of the core as any of these other guys. So I'm gonna roll dice and say he comes back to Toronto.
Dougie Hamilton.
Who has cap space left to sign him? Jeez. I think he resigns in Carolina.
Okay.
This is a tough one. Now it's like small market, big market. Oh man, this. I'm gonna throw crazy at one out there. I'm gonna say New Jersey. I think New Jersey's doing a lot of good things. They gotta spend some cash. I'm gonna go New Jersey.
I'll double up on Jersey. I'm gonna go crazy too. Since Rob said Jersey, I'm gonna say Montreal.
Oh boy.
Whoever replacement.
Yeah.
Okay. Gabriel Landeskog.
Could he go to a division rival like Minnesota?
They've got lots of cap space.
Right.
Okay.
I don't think he ends up in Toronto. I'll tell you that.
No. I'm gonna go crazy here. Seattle.
Oh,
I'm gonna go with they've got tons of cap space. They got to sign some guys. I hope we talk about it later. I thought their expansion draft sucked. I thought
yeah, I thought so too.
Awful. Like I really like their defense core, but they need a lot. Like forget a lot of help. They need like a whole new forward group, and I thought they missed a few guys. So
to me, it felt like they stayed away from all the big ticket items and kept their cap space really low because they felt like they didn't want to give other teams a free pass. They wanted them to pay them to take their big contracts. Oh, you want me to take that guy who's making a lot of money? You got to give me a kicker in order to do it. And teams were kind of staying away from that.
The prices were ridiculous.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm not crazy about their team at all. They could have been way better.
I don't think they're done yet. I think there's a lot coming left from there. But, okay, just tie that up. I'm going to say the Kings for Landeskog. I got two more. Freddie Anderson.
Carolina.
Colorado.
Man, I should stop going last. I was gonna say Carolina too, but I'll throw.
It's okay to agree.
I know. Just to be different, even though I think Carolina is the team. Yeah, that's fine. I can stay with Carolina. I think he was drafted there. I think he ends up there.
Can I ask what the heck Carolina is doing? Because they had a good goalie already, a young good goalie, and they didn't want to give him like what $3.5 million. Are you kidding me?
I think they're strapped, man. I think they are strapped for cash.
Yeah,
like you would not
that owner is not doesn't like paying up. Let's put it that way.
Does not like dishing out the cash.
No, he doesn't. No. Jack Eichel, not a free agent, but it's all the talk right now. So
honestly, if I was Montreal, I'd be offering everything to get him, to be honest.
Yeah, but not Paul Byron. Not
I know. I no Montreal fan thinks Suzuki or Caulfield should be included in that deal. I got news for you. If you want him, one or both have to be included in that deal. I'm sorry, you're not getting him without that because you play Buffalo's division. Yeah. Buffalo doesn't want to trade him within the division unless your package is significantly better than the other team's packages. So you're going to need to include those guys. So basically, you don't want to include them. You're not going to get them. What? I think he ends up with like a team like the Rangers or even Los Angeles.
Like, and the other name I saw, Kotkaniemi. Like, you wouldn't give up Kotkaniemi for. I go like.
Oh, I know. I heard plenty of those. Oh yeah, we'll give you KK. Hey, we'll take. You know what? It's gonna be tough. But we'll give you KK. Thanks, guys. Yeah, that's gonna do it.
Okay, we got Ryan Paling coming up. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
I would say the Rangers.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they're gonna. I know it's not in division; it's in conference still. I just don't know if the Sabres are going to want to move him in conference. So I would say somewhere out west.
If you were the Rangers, would you offer Lafreniere straight up for him?
No.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yes.
And if you're Buffalo, you would take it if it was offered to you?
No. Yes. If they're that desperate to take, not desperate. If they're willing to give up Lafreniere, this is almost like that draft day scenario. Sorry, then the movie Draft Day. Well, that offer just expired 10 seconds ago. I want Lafreniere, and I want somebody else to go with it. Let's see how serious you are. Right? I mean, that's what Kevin Adams is doing. He wants
I
to
don't
see what guys are offering.
Yeah, I don't think this. Like I was gonna say Vegas. I don't think they have the cap space or the assets. Somewhere out west though. I think LA was a good. I think that's a good fit also for the league.
I would
I
also appreciate it if he went to the Western
Yeah,
Conference.
I'm
'Cause,
going to
yeah.
go with the Anaheim Ducks just to keep it
Okay.
count. All right. Last question for me, Joe. Who's backing up who's backing up Jack Campbell game 1?
Peter Mrazek.
I got to stop asking questions because I want to answer them because that was my I think the Leafs are going to try to swing a deal for Darcy Kemper. I think Arizona is just giving guys away right now. So
He makes too much money though. They would have to get them to
they would have
retain
to
some.
yes, yeah. Darcy Kemper at $3 million is ideal for me, but also would like Mrazek for sure.
I don't know who they're gonna get, but I'm gonna say this. This is gonna be a lot bigger decision for the Leafs than people realize because Jack Campbell ain't gonna play 60 games this year. So
Nope.
this is a guy that's gonna eat like significant games. Like I wouldn't be surprised if it's like a 48 would be the 48 like 34 kind of thing.
Yep.
So this might be the like low key biggest move that the Leafs make this offseason is this backup goalie.
Spotlight's on it, that's for sure.
All right. Well, we're only a couple days away, so we will see. We'll get our answers shortly. Okay.